The forbidden border, the Galactic Council Chamber, stretched across 3 kilometers of polished obsidian, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of a dozen different suns. Representatives from 47 species sat in perfect formation, their voices creating a symphony of clicks, hums, and harmonic frequencies that had governed the galaxy for over 2,000 years. At the center of this ancient gathering, High Counselor Vrexthol raised his forearms for silence. The matter before us today concerns the silent boundary. His voice resonated through biotranslators embedded in every delegate's skull. For 3 centuries, the region designated as human territory has remained inactive. Captain Zethkar Novas shifted in his observation pod, his purple-scaled hide rippling with barely contained excitement. As one of the Velithian Empire's most decorated explorers, he had mapped 17 star systems and made first contact with 6 previously unknown species. The prospect of investigating humanity's mysterious domain made his blood sing with anticipation. The humans had appeared in galactic records exactly 312 years ago, emerging from a small blue world called Earth with primitive chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. They had established colonies on nearby worlds, participated in minor trade agreements, and then ... nothing, complete silence. Their territory had become a void in the galaxy's carefully maintained communication networks. Some theorize they destroyed themselves, continued Vrexthol, his elongated skull gleaming under the chamber's artificial light. Others suggest they retreated into isolation. A few radical voices claim they evolved beyond our understanding. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The idea that humans, a species barely 3 centuries into space travel, could advance beyond the Council's ancient civilizations was almost insulting. The youngest Council member's civilization had been exploring stars for over 10,000 years. Zethkar felt his opportunity approaching. He had studied every fragment of data about humans, from their bizarre emotional expressions to their tendency toward what they called improvisation. Most species found human behavior unpredictable, even dangerous. But Zethkar saw potential for discovery, for glory. "I volunteer to lead an expedition into the silent boundary," he announced, rising from his pod. "The Velithian exploration fleet stands ready to solve this mystery." Vrexthol's compound eyes focused on the ambitious captain. "The risks are considerable. 17 previous missions have entered human space. None returned, not even their emergency beacons. With respect, High Counselor, those were minor reconnaissance missions," Zethkar replied, his confidence absolute. "I propose a full exploration fleet. 3 heavy cruisers, advanced scanning equipment, and my finest officers. If the humans have developed new technologies, we will catalog them. If they have fallen to barbarism, we will restore order." The Council voted within hours. Zethkar's reputation and the tantalizing mystery of human space proved irresistible. Within 2 weeks, his fleet was assembled at the edge of the silent boundary, staring into a region of space that had become the galaxy's greatest puzzle. The flagship Triumphant Discovery led the formation, its sleek hull gleaming with sensor arrays and communication equipment that could penetrate dimensional barriers. Zethkar stood on the command bridge, watching as his navigation officer, a precise, crystal-based life form named Click7, calculated their entry vector. "Captain, we're receiving an automated transmission," reported his communications specialist, her tentacles dancing across biointerfaces. "Origin point appears to be just inside the boundary. Display it." The holographic projector flickered to life, revealing a simple message in 47 different languages, including perfect Velithian. This is the edge of human space. All vessels are advised to maintain distance. This is your only warning." Zethkar laughed, a sound like grinding stone that echoed through the bridge. 300 years of isolation, and they think a single message will deter the Galactic Council. Proceed with the mission. The fleet crossed the invisible line that marked the beginning of human territory. Immediately, something felt wrong. Space itself seemed different here. The background radiation patterns were unusual. The quantum fluctuations that normally provided reference points for navigation. Equipment were ... organized, as if someone had been rearranging the fundamental structure of reality itself. Captain Click7's harmonic voice contained notes of confusion. "My instruments are detecting structures. Massive structures, but they're not showing up on visual sensors." "Explain." "There appeared to be objects the size of small moons positioned throughout this region. They're generating the unusual quantum patterns we detected, but they're invisible to direct observation." Zethkar felt the first touch of unease. Cloaking. Technology was known to the galaxy, but nothing on this scale. These weren't hidden ships. These were hidden installations, possibly entire worlds. His fleet penetrated deeper into human space, following star charts that were 3 centuries out of date. They found the first human colony system exactly where the old records indicated. But instead of a thriving world, they discovered something that made Zethkar's blood freeze in his veins. A graveyard. Hundreds of ships floated in perfect formation around the colony's dead star. Not human ships. These were vessels from dozens of different species, including several that Zethkar recognized from the Council's missing expedition records. Each ship was intact, undamaged, but completely lifeless. No energy signatures, no life signs, nothing. "Mother of the Deep," whispered his tactical officer, a veteran of 17 campaigns. "Captain, these are the ships from the previous missions. All of them." Zethkar ordered his fleet to maintain distance while deploying scanning drones. The drones transmitted their data for exactly 17 seconds before going silent. Not destroyed, not jammed, simply ... gone. That's when they appeared. The human ships didn't decloak. They didn't emerge from hyperspace. They simply weren't there one moment and were there the next, as if reality had been rewritten to include them. 3 vessels, each roughly the size of Zethkar's flagship, but their design was unlike anything in the Galactic database. They were sleek, organic-looking, with hulls that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. No visible weapons, no traditional propulsion systems, no communication arrays. Just smooth, beautiful death waiting in the void. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force." A voice spoke directly into Zethkar's mind, bypassing all communication equipment. "You have entered human space without authorization. You have ignored our warning. Explain your presence." Zethkar tried to respond through normal channels, but his communication systems had been completely bypassed. Somehow, the human had established a direct neural link across impossible distances. "I am Captain Zethkar of the Velithian Exploration Fleet," he thought, hoping the connection worked both ways. "We come under the authority of the Galactic Council to investigate the silence from human territory." The Galactic Council. The human's mental voice carried undertones of amusement. "And something darker. We remember them. We remember a lot of things from the old days. We mean no harm. We seek only understanding." Understanding? The word echoed in Zethkar's mind with layers of meaning he couldn't fully grasp. "Very well, you wish to understand. What happened to those who came before you? Look upon them. The graveyard of ships suddenly blazed with light. Not external illumination, but internal activity. Life support systems activating, emergency power engaging. And then, impossibly, figures appeared at the viewports of the dead vessels. The missing crews, still alive, still aware, trapped in their ships for decades, sustained by technology that shouldn't exist. Watching, waiting, serving as a warning that no one had been alive to see. The crews of these vessels chose to attack rather than withdraw. Admiral Chen's voice continued, "We defended ourselves. We do not kill, Captain Zethkar. We preserve. They exist as they are because they forced our hand." Zethkar realized the horrible truth. These weren't corpses. They were prisoners, kept alive as monuments to the futility of challenging human space. The technology required for such an action was beyond anything the galaxy had achieved. You see, Captain, 300 years of isolation weren't wasted time. While the galaxy played its political games and fought its petty wars, humanity evolved. We didn't just advance our technology. We transcended the limitations that you still accept as universal law. One of the human ships moved closer, and Zethkar could see through its translucent hull. The interior was vast, impossibly larger than the exterior should allow. Corridors that folded through dimensions, chambers that existed in multiple states, simultaneously, and at the center, beings that had once been human but were now something far more. "You have a choice, Captain," Admiral Chen said. "Withdraw now. Return to your council and tell them that human space remains off limits. Or join the monument to curiosity that surrounds you." Zethkar looked at his crew, saw the terror in their eyes, felt the wrongness of space itself pressing against his ship's hull like a living thing. The humans hadn't just survived their isolation, they had used it to become something the galaxy couldn't comprehend. "We withdraw," he managed to project. "Wise, but understand this, Captain, we have been patient. We have been content to remain in our territory, to develop in peace, but patience has limits. If the Galactic Council decides that our silence is weakness, if they send fleets instead of single ships, they will discover that 3 centuries of human evolution has made us something very different from the species that once begged for acceptance among the stars." The human ships vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. The graveyard returned to its silent watch, and Zethkar's fleet found themselves at the edge of human space with no memory of how they had traveled the distance. As they limped back toward council space, Zethkar stared at the data his instruments had somehow managed to record. Energy, readings that broke fundamental laws, materials that existed in quantum superposition, technology that treated space and time as suggestions rather than absolutes. The humans hadn't just evolved, they had become something that could remake reality itself, and they had been content to remain hidden, developing in secret, growing stronger while the galaxy remained ignorant. But now someone knew, and Zethkar carried the terrible knowledge that humanity's silence hadn't been defeat or retreat. It had been preparation, the awakening protocols. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos as Captain Zethkar finished his report. 47 species, representing civilizations that had ruled the stars for millennia, struggled to comprehend what they had heard. The crystalline walls resonated with overlapping frequencies of disbelief, fear, and wounded pride. "High Counselor," Vrextol S4 arms gestured for silence, but his compound eyes betrayed his own shock. "Captain, You're asking us to believe that humans have developed technology that surpasses our collective knowledge by orders of magnitude in 3 centuries. I'm not asking you to believe anything, High Counselor Zethkar replied, his purple scales still pale from his encounter. I'm reporting what I witnessed. Those ships, that graveyard, the neural communication across impossible distances. The humans aren't hiding because they're weak. They're hiding because they've become something we can't understand. General Kraxthor of the Hegemony War Fleet slammed his massive fist against his podium, the sound reverberating like thunder. Impossible. My species has mastered quantum engineering for 8,000 years. No primitive mammalian species could surpass us in 3 centuries. Then explain the missing fleets, Zethkar challenged. Explain 17 separate expeditions vanishing without trace. Explain technology that can preserve living beings in temporal suspension while maintaining their consciousness. Explain how they moved us across light years of space without our instruments detecting any form of propulsion. The debate raged for hours. Some council members demanded immediate action, their pride wounded by the suggestion that humans had surpassed them. Others urged caution, recognizing that Zethkar's report suggested capabilities beyond their understanding. The moderates called for further investigation, unwilling to accept either warfare or submission in the end. Pride won. The vote was close. 24 species in favor of military action, 23 opposed. High Counselor Vrextal cast the deciding vote, his ancient wisdom clouded by thousands of years of unchallenged galactic supremacy. The Galactic Council has ruled for 2 millennia, he declared. We will not be intimidated by a species that learned to leave their home world yesterday. If humans have developed advanced technology, we will study it. If they threaten galactic order, we will restore balance. General Kraxthor, prepare the Grand Fleet. What followed was the largest military mobilization in galactic history. 700 warships from 30 different species converged at the edge of human space. Dreadnoughts that could shatter planets, carriers housing swarms of fighter craft, and support vessels carrying weapons developed over millennia of galactic warfare. General Kraxthor commanded from the flagship Eternal Dominion, a massive vessel that had broken the resistance of dozen worlds. His tactical displays showed the assembled fleet in perfect formation, a demonstration of galactic power that had never failed to bring order to chaos. All fleet commanders, this is General Kraxthor, his voice broadcast across 700 ships. We cross into human space in coordinated waves. First wave establishes perimeter control. Second wave advances to primary human colonies. Third wave provides reserve support. Remember, we are not here to destroy. We are here to restore proper order to the galaxy. The first wave of 200 ships crossed the silent boundary simultaneously, their sensors immediately detecting the same quantum anomalies that had confused Zethkar's expedition. But this time, they were prepared. Advanced shielding protected their instruments, and specialized scanners began mapping the invisible structures that dotted human space. Contact, screamed the sensor operator aboard the Eternal Dominion. Multiple large objects decloaking throughout the formation. The tactical display exploded with new contacts. Not ships, structures, installations the size of small moons that had been hidden throughout the region, each one bristling with energy signatures that defied classification. The humans hadn't just been watching the border, they had fortified every strategic point in their territory with technology the galaxy couldn't recognize. Asterisk weapons free, General Kraxthor ordered. Engage all hostile contacts. The first volley of galactic firepower should have been devastating. Plasma cannons that could boil oceans, antimatter torpedoes that could crack continents, and energy beams that operated beyond the normal spectrum. 700 ships firing in perfect coordination. Enough destruction to sterilize entire star systems. Nothing happened. The weapons simply stopped existing. Not blocked, not deflected, not absorbed. They fired, traveled a few thousand kilometers, and then ceased to be, as if reality itself had decided that such destructive force was no longer permitted in this region of space. What in the name of the void? General Crackstall stared at his tactical displays, watching weapon after weapon vanish into nothingness. How are they doing this? His answer came in the form of a single human ship. It appeared at the center of the galactic fleet, not through any conventional means of travel, but simply materializing as if it had always been there. The vessel was beautiful in a way that hurt to observe directly, its hull seeming to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. It was both impossibly large and somehow intimate, both ancient and utterly new. From this single ship came a voice that spoke directly to every consciousness in the fleet, in their own language, in their own thoughts, carrying undertones of sadness and infinite patience. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. You have brought war to our border despite our warnings. You have ignored our desire for peace. You force us to act. General Crackstall tried to respond, to demand surrender, to threaten retaliation, but his voice wouldn't come. None of the fleet commanders could speak. They could only listen as the human continued. 300 years ago, humanity begged for acceptance among the stars. We were told we were too young, too primitive, too emotional. We were barely tolerated on the fringes of galactic society, useful only as a source of novelty and raw materials. Around the human ship, space itself began to change. Stars that had burned for billions of years shifted position. The cosmic background radiation that provided navigation reference points rearranged itself into new patterns. Reality was being rewritten by will alone, so we withdrew. We chose isolation not from fear, but from necessity. We needed time to grow, to learn, to become what we were meant to be. While you played your political games and fought your territorial wars, we explored the fundamental nature of existence itself. The human ship moved through the galactic fleet, passing between vessels as if they were ghosts. Wherever it traveled, the alien ship's weapon systems simply ceased to function. Not damaged, not destroyed, but converted into something else entirely. Engines became gardens, weapon arrays became art installations. Armor plating became viewing windows that showed vistas of impossible beauty. We learned that consciousness itself is a force as fundamental as gravity or electromagnetism. We discovered that reality is far more flexible than your science believes. We evolved beyond the physical limitations that you still accept as absolute. General Crackstall watched in horror as his mighty flagship was transformed around him. The bridge became a garden where alien flowers bloomed in perfect harmony. His crew, instead of dying, found themselves breathing air that tasted of home worlds they had forgotten. Their fear dissolved into wonder, then into something approaching enlightenment. But evolution brings responsibility, Admiral Chen continued. We cannot allow the galaxy to continue on its current path. Too much war, too much suffering, too much waste of the incredible potential that conscious life represents. Across the fleet, 700 warships were being transformed. Not destroyed, but changed into something better. mobile cities where enemies found common ground, exploration vessels designed to discover rather than conquer, hospitals that could heal wounds that touched the soul itself. This is your choice. People of the galaxy, Admiral Chen said, and now her image appeared before every transformed crew member. She was tall and elegant, with eyes that held depths of experience that seemed to stretch across centuries. Her face was kind but absolutely certain. You can return to your council and report that humanity demands an end to galactic warfare. We will help you build a civilization based on exploration, growth, and the elevation of consciousness itself. Or you can choose to resist, and we will sadly do what we must to protect the universe from the chaos that your systems have created. General Crackstall found his voice returning. You cannot simply decide the fate of the galaxy. We have ruled for millennia. Admiral Chen's expression didn't change, but her next words carried the weight of cosmic certainty. Your rule has brought nothing but stagnation and conflict. In 300 years of isolation, we have developed technologies that could solve every problem your civilizations face. Hunger, disease, death itself, all could be eliminated. But only if you choose to abandon the primitive mindset that sees existence as a competition rather than a collaboration. Around them, space continued to reshape itself. The invisible installations throughout human territory became visible, revealing cities that existed in quantum superposition, allowing millions of beings to live in harmony across multiple dimensions. Gardens that grew on the surface of stars, art installations that used gravity itself as a medium. We offer you membership in something greater than the Galactic Council, Admiral Chen said. A confederation of conscious beings dedicated to exploring the infinite possibilities of existence. But this offer comes with conditions. No more territorial wars, no more exploitation of primitive species, no more acceptance of suffering as inevitable. The transformed fleet began to move, not through conventional propulsion, but by collective will. They found themselves traveling not just through space, but through possibility itself, seeing worlds where the technology of consciousness had created paradise beyond imagination. Return to your council, Admiral Chen commanded. Tell them that humanity's isolation is ending. We will emerge not as conquerors, but as gardeners of consciousness itself. Those who choose to grow with us will find possibilities beyond their current understanding. Those who choose to resist will discover that 3 centuries of human evolution has made resistance irrelevant. The fleet found itself back at the edge of human space, their vessels restored to original configuration but carrying passengers that changed everything. Each ship now hosted a small group of humans, but humans as they had become. Beings who existed partially outside normal space-time, who could communicate through direct consciousness transfer, who radiated calm certainty that reality itself could be improved through proper understanding. General Crackstall stared at the human woman who now stood on his bridge, her presence somehow making the warship feel like a place of peace rather than destruction. What are you? He asked. We are what you could become, she replied. What the galaxy could become. The choice is yours. As the fleet returned to council space, carrying news that would reshape the galaxy forever, Admiral Sarah Chen remained at the border, watching. The age of human isolation was ending. The age of galactic transformation was about to begin. And across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, beings looked up at the stars and felt something changing. Something wonderful and terrifying was awakening, and the universe would never be the same.